Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome to Orioles on the Verge. This is Zach Spedden, joined as always by Bob Phelan and Nick Stevens. And on tonight's episode, we're going to break down the opening of the 2026 minor league season with the Chesapeake Bay Sox, Delmarva Shorebirds, and Frederick Keys getting underway over the weekend. All four of the Orioles' full season affiliates are into their 2026 slates. And we're going to break down some of our early impressions and some of the news that has broken out in the minors over the past few days. But first, this episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack, hydration, and coffee sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ Bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are clean label certified, entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial ingredients. All IQ Bar products are packed with clean, delicious ingredients that keep you physically and mentally fit, like magnesium, lion's mane, and more. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their busy lifestyles with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their Ultimate Sampler Pack includes all three. IQ Bars become part of my daily routines, whether it's starting my morning with IQ Joe, grabbing an IQ Bar or IQ Mix to refuel or rehydrate after a hard workout. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text MLB to 64,000. Text MLB to 64,000. That's MLB to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. And as we like to do at the top of every episode, we want to welcome a new member to our Patreon community. And for that, I will turn it over to Bob.
Yeah, slap shot to our new... I'm just saying hockey terms because I know this person is a hockey fan who's trying to get into baseball. Stanley Westman, thank you for signing up, taking advantage of our current promotion for the opening month of the season. 26% off for the 2026 season if you check out our Patreon. But Stanley took advantage of that. Actually popped up in the Discord. His username was spam, and I thought this looks promising, and it actually was. So. Yeah, thank you, Spamly, for signing up to our Discord and then signing up for our Patreon. Hopefully we can lead you on your way to baseball fandom and the great times that us Orioles fans always have. Never any downsides. Please, God, let the Orioles sweep the White Sox.
Absolutely. And as a reminder, if you sign up to become a patron, you get access to bonus weekly shows from Bob, Nick, and myself, as well as monthly updates to our top 50 list and a whole lot more. So be sure to check that out. Now, I should acknowledge here, Nick, you're back after vacation. How are you feeling?
I am. Like I said, I don't know how long the week I was in Asheville. I don't know how long I was sober, but back on the horse right now for the first time since Thursday night, so it feels good. This should be a fun show. I crammed. I was telling Zach before we came on, I crammed the last 5-6 days of minor league baseball within the last 48 hours, so I'm ready to talk minor league ball. Looks like I didn't miss a ton on the major league side. But hopefully, like Bob said, things get turned around here against the White Sox. So far, so good tonight. I had to turn the game off as we started recording, though. So hopefully things don't fall down as we get rolling. But yeah, it was a good week. Hopefully the live show went well also.
It did. Yeah. I was going to say the only way to get through the first 10 days of this season, I think, was the way you went about it.
So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we are now fully into the minor league baseball season. Norfolk got its start a little more than a week ago, while the Bay Sox, Shorebirds, and Keys all took the field for the first time this past week, beginning with the Bay Sox and the Shorebirds on Thursday, and then Frederick had its opener on Friday in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And we're going to be talking a lot about that game in a little bit as we go through our highlights so far from the beginning of the minor league season. And I do want to go back to Nick to start this one because we're starting to get a decent sample size of the player he wants to highlight tonight because he is on Norfolk. And so far, the results at the plate have been very impressive.
Yeah, bigger sample size to talk about the Norfolk guys. And Norfolk offense hasn't been too great. They're 3-6 to start the year, but they did play 6 games against Memphis, who I think one is 8-1 on the year. And Cesar Prieto, old friend, and Blaze Jordan turned into Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr. against Tides pitching all week. But if you've paid attention the last couple of years since Memphis joined the International League, whenever Norfolk goes to Memphis, it's a shit show. So last week was no different. But I want to talk about Creed Willems because his bat has not been a struggle since beginning this year in AAA, his first stint in AAA as well. I know early on in his career, I know me personally, I wavered a lot on my thoughts about Willems. But for the last 2 years, I've kind of felt the same way. The improvements at the plate that we've seen over the course of his career as he's moved up the ladder, I think they're for real. And I think he's always been a fine prospect, like top 30 worthy. Not like an elite prospect or anything, but he should be, I think, in pretty much everybody's top 30 if you're putting together an Orioles prospect list here. And his first taste of AAA offensively has been great. 7 games, he's hitting .292. He's got a .400 on base percentage, .1025 OPS, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, so a 13% walk and strikeout rate, which is fantastic. 159 WRC plus. We've seen a max EV over 109 miles per hour. He's taking a lot of strikes. He's being very patient at the plate, but he's getting the pitches that he wants, and he's making good contact against them. We'll see how all this stabilizes over the next few weeks, but you couldn't ask for a better start for Creed there. And it's always, for me, it's about the bat, because defensively, I don't know how the Orioles view him defensively behind the plate. I'd love to know more, get more insight there. But you've got Adley and you've got Basayo. If you're thinking about a defensive replacement, if you need an emergency catcher, Maverick Hanley's the designated taxi squad guy, right? You've got Silas Ardway, who's your defensive guy, who's actually hitting the ball kind of well in his limited run so far. But Creed is probably not the guy you're going to bring up for defensive reasons, but the bat, could play. I honestly, when we had the Oyster Analytics guys on before the season started, and they brought up Creed as kind of one of their guys, I kind of had to hold it in a little bit. I'm like, there's no way. The way they were talking about Creed was like, that's pretty optimistic, but we'll go with it. I think they might have been onto something, because, again, it's only 7 or so games, but this is a really good start for Creed. Yeah,
and we thought it was kind of aggressive. We thought he might repeat AA, right, coming into the year, and to push him up to AAA. And, yeah, like you said, 159 WRC plus, hitting for power, hitting for contact, walking. He's doing everything, and he kind of has to, because he's very limited defensively, even at first base. Maybe he could be an emergency catcher if he improves behind the plate, but I think his long-term, he's like a first base DH type. But, hey, if he's going to really put the offense together, then that's not the worst thing to have, especially, look, if Ryan Mountcastle can carve out a career as a backup first base DH, then maybe Creed Willems could as well. So, yeah, I'm very pleasantly surprised by the output he's been able to put up in the first week and a half of the season. A lot of guys not doing so well in that first little opportunity in AAA, especially there's not very many prospects in general in that lineup. But like you said, Silas Ardway, he's off to a good start with 16 at-bats, almost 1,000 OPS. Who knows how sustainable that is. Ree Trimble hurt again. Judd Fabian doing Fabian things with the .227 batting average, 37% strikeout rate, 27% walk rate, and an .842 OPS thanks to some power as well. So that's very Judd Fabian.
Yeah, from the jump in this season, we've seen Willems post strong exit velos consistently. He had a few triple-digit exit velos in that first series against Nashville, and he really has not slowed down to plate at all. I think that one of the things, first of all, it's fun to finally have good publicly available data to back up what we've been seeing him get better at over the last few years, which is driving the ball more consistently. The other thing, too, is I've always thought his bat control is always a very underrated part of his skill set, and I think we've seen that so far this year. So he's really taking big strides forward, and he's probably going to have to hit his way into the conversation this year, because if everything goes okay at the major league level, Adley Rutschman and Samuel Basayo are going to hold down the catcher spot, and they may only need Maverick Hanley here and there. So Williams is going to have to really make the case, if he's going to get to the majors this year, of being a solid left-handed bat off the bench down the stretch for this team. And this is a big year for him because he'll be Rule 5 eligible again after this season. So he could possibly force the Orioles' hand by putting up good numbers in AAA.
Yeah, that was the thing. He's 23 years old now, which is hard to believe. Some guys that we're going to talk about throughout this night, it's like, wait, they should be a lot older than they are. Creed, I feel like, should be a lot younger than he is, but he's 23 now. When's his birthday? Doing his live. So he actually turns 24 the first week of June, but he's still much younger than the average AAA player. 3 years younger than the average AAA player. It's only 7 games, but he's holding his own so far. I wonder, the Rule 5 thing, you really don't see catchers being taken. I wonder, though, is he increasing his trade value? Is there any trade value here? Because hopefully the Orioles are active at the deadline as buyers and not sellers, but they need to get their shit together soon here and not just stop seeing the same quotes after every single game so far this year. If I have to hear Craig Albernaz talk about one more time about we're just not getting there yet. The fundamentals are coming. Anyway, we'll get to all that. But I wonder what trade value there is here with Creed, or do they just be like, hey, we're gonna, even if he rakes this year, maybe you add him. I think that'd be really. I have a hard time seeing him getting added to the 40-man roster this offseason, but do you even try to sneak him through, knowing that, hey, maybe the defense behind the plate isn't great, and is the bat truly enough to carry himself in the major leagues as a team, as a guy that a team is going to want to put on the 26-man roster all year? I think that's a really, really tough question. It's way too early to talk about that, I think, but it's still, there's all this gray area, I feel like, with Creed. Defensively, where he fits in, how does he make that jump? How does his game translate to the big leagues? As far as roster construction goes, is there any trade value? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of unknown in all that area.
Yeah, and the way injuries are happening this early in the season, maybe you need that bat at some point, especially if the Orioles desperately do not want to have another very slow start. I mean, I'm not saying it would happen early in the season, but you never know. If he's forcing the issue, then only good things can happen, even if there's no real lane or road for him to get to the majors and be a steady presence for the Orioles over the long term. Him performing well is nothing but good. He can come up, get a taste with the Orioles. Maybe, like you said, if he makes his way to the 40-man, obviously then you can use his option years. If he doesn't, but he makes it through the whole year, you can see if you can sneak him past the Rule 5 draft one more time. But he could also be maybe not a big part of a trade, but at least a significant secondary piece in a big deadline deal, if that's something the Orioles are in the position to make, whether it's a reliever, a starter, whatever else help they need. But yeah, I'm happy for the guy because he's really developed. I mean, that's what we talk about on here for the most part, is the development of these young players, and we've seen it clear as day. He's one of those linear, just gets a little bit better every year and makes adjustments. So let's see where he can take it.
Anything he can do to. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
I was going to point out, I think it was one of the broadcasts. It might have been when they were home to begin the year in Norfolk, and it was the Norfolk broadcast. But someone had mentioned how, a couple of years ago, it was he got glasses or eye surgery or one of the something contacts, whatever he did to fix the vision. He lost the weight. He got in shape. There was maturity, off the field maturity, on the field maturity as well that happened. And this year, it seemed like, from what the Norfolk broadcast, I believe, said, was he paid attention to a lot of the list and the prospect talk, that's at us, the other people. Everyone talks about prospects now. It's all in your face. And he was I think he kind of was very in tune to all of that, and that got in his head a lot. And apparently he started tuning all of that out. He doesn't care anymore. He's just out there playing ball. And I think that's another step in his development. I think it's working for him.
As well you should. If you're a player, do not take anything we say as gospel. We're just, doing our best. We don't know all the answers, but we do pay attention. But even if we're spot on, you should not be paying attention. You should just be going out there doing your thing.
That is a positive step in his development. And anything that he can do at the plate to boost his trade value is going to help him in the long run, because either the Orioles are going to be in contention and he becomes one of their top trade chips, or if they're not really going anywhere but there's an opening for him to possibly get some Major League time before the season ends, he could certainly do that. Now, I want to go over to Bob's guy because this is a player that the three of us have been high on for a while. We've been kind of hoping that 2026 is going to be a breakout, and if you saw Chesapeake's opening series at Hartford, you might have hopefully seen glimmers of a breakout that is to come.
Yeah, Thomas Sosa have a opening weekend. Look, I'm just, even if this isn't like breakout, but it's just, hey, off to a good start, and we'll settle in from here. I love to see it for this guy, this kid, because he's been pushed so hard throughout his time in the organization, and typically, at least from my memory, without double checking, slow starts seem to be the way it goes with him, or even just
Injured.
Injured and not always the best playing time, or he'll have like a solid WRC plus, but it's just not like what we're hoping for. But man, if you're looking at the box score, 6 for 13 with 3 doubles, a triple, and a home run, only struck out twice. And I believe that was in the first game. So you're just looking at the box score. You're like, wow, man, he must have had a good... If you actually watch the games, which I was lucky enough to be able to, on this Easter weekend, just do a lot of sitting at home and watching a lot of these games. I think I saw probably more than half of his at-bats, and just looks really confident and comfortable at that plate. And he just looks... He passes the eye test 100% on top of just what he was able to do. I mean, when he was making contact, it was like... blistered. Like, he hits the ball so hard, and if he can do what we finally have been hoping for him to do, which is just stay healthy, get that train rolling, and build some confidence on top, and man, sky's the limit. If he's going to actually be able to make contact the way he did in this opening weekend all season long, then he's a top 10, 15 prospect on our list by the end of the year.
What I really like was it was also in like the 30s. I know with that first game, I think it started low 40s. It got into the 30s with some wind, and that's when he tripled and homered. I think Hartford's pretty homer friendly, but that wasn't a cheap shot. He got all of that one. But yeah, 3 doubles, a triple, a home run, 7 RBI to go through those first 3 games. Like you said, only 2 strikeouts that came in the first game. That's awesome. No walks, but I'll take 2 strikeouts in the first game in 30-degree weather and then nothing the next 2 games. He just looks more in control, less flailing, less guessing at the plate, less like, I'm just going up there to mash. Like, he's going up there to hit, and he just looks so much more assertive. I also I give him credit for playing in the cold weather like that, on the road, in a ballpark he's never played in before, opening weekend. Those are small things, but like you said, he's 21 years old. That's it. And his first 4 pro seasons really haven't gone, at least results-wise, haven't really gone the way I think he wanted, the organization wanted. They certainly are what we wanted over the last 4 years. But he made a lot of contact. It's only 3 games, but he has a 9% swinging strike rate. Like, that's not sustainable for Thomas Sosa. But, I mean, yeah, it's just the poise, the maturity at the plate, it all just looks really good. And I think in a really uncomfortable situation as well. So, yeah, shout out to Thomas Sosa and his opening weekend. I hope this is sustainable to a point, because we know the organization's been big believers in him from the start, and I want to see this kid get a shot so bad.
Not only is he 21, he just turned 21 2 days after the best day of the year, January 18th. So he'll be 21 all year long. He got up to Double-A at just his year 20 season. He only got in 11 games last year, batted 158, 55 WRC plus, struck out 20, and basically 27% of the time, walked only 5% of the time. Yeah, those numbers are going to improve in a big way, and would not be shocked if he's in Triple-A before the end of the season at 21 years old. I mean, as a power hitting right fielder, that's pretty exciting, even if he didn't take exactly the Creed Willems linear path to get there.
Yeah, it's easy to dream on that after his opening weekend. I think what Nick brought up is a great point. It's really just a matter of him getting things under control at the plate, because we know what the raw skill set looks like, and we know that he's got a lot of power, but he's also had a tendency early in his career to be too aggressive at the plate sometimes. So getting some of those things under control is really going to be crucial for him taking the next step forward in his development. And really just being able to get off to a hot start, I think, is going to do wonders for him, because last season at Aberdeen, it was very early in the year when he had that injury that wound up costing him a good chunk of time. He came back, was with the Ironbirds for a little while, and then got promoted to Double-A in what was a pretty aggressive move by the Orioles. If you look at Sosa's stats at Aberdeen last year, they didn't exactly jump off the page, and I don't think anybody would have questioned it had he been left in High A all year. But the Orioles bump him up to Double-A. He goes out to the Fall League and doesn't play a whole lot out there. But maybe that experience paired with better health could allow him to really take some steps forward this year.
Yeah, like you said in Aberdeen, he had a 112 WRC plus, which you would not know if you just looked at his 223 batting average, 716 OPS. Like, the fact that that's 12% better than league average is kind of crazy, and shows the type of environment that the Orioles have left. And now we'll be interested to see how Frederick looks. Very excited about that team. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, if he can put up a 120, 125 WRC plus at Double-A at 21 years old, I mean, that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, we talk about the power a lot. We've been talking about that for years. But one thing that I'm also interested to see as the season progresses, and I mean, of course, we didn't really. I don't know if anyone on Chesapeake's team was very aggressive in this aspect opening weekend because it was so frigid. But in the stolen base department, you go back to 2024 when he was mostly in Delmarva. He was split time between Delmarva and Aberdeen. He stole 30 bags. He was 30 for 40 in stolen base attempts in 2024. Last year, he was 4 for 8. But again, he had that injury the first week of the year. So I'm pretty sure they told him, like, you don't need to run. But he's also a lot bigger over the last 2 years. He has filled out, gained a lot of good weight, more muscular. I'm just curious to see, is the speed still in there? Are they going to deploy him on the base paths a little bit more? And maybe could he be a 20 stolen base guy? Or what do the stolen base numbers look like this year?
Yeah, that's a good call, because I think he probably considers himself a 5-tool player, and speed would be one of those. But I think, I mean, it is going to be interesting, but even if he does steal 15, 20 bags, it's like, I don't see that being a big part of his game moving forward in the long run. But one thing I do want to add on top of just Thomas Sosa himself, I think this is a good framework for how we could potentially look at Steven Martinez moving forward, because I think they're kind of similar, where they're bigger guys who are going to fill out and be power hitters once they reach their physical peaks, primes. So yeah, the development of Thomas Sosa will make me more confident in the Orioles' ability to develop Steven Martinez down the line as well.
That's a great point there. And I'll go over to what jumped out at me over the weekend, and it was Joseph Giroua's professional debut. Friday night, Frederick at Hub City. Giroux goes out 6 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 hit allowed, and a 4th-round pick out of Michigan State last year. Makes a very loud first impression there. Watching that start, what jumped out at me was, one, he could throw his fastball and his slider anywhere in the strike zone, get it for a strike at any point in the count, but he was so good at attacking up in the zone. And with his arm angles, you could tell that even if Hub City's hitters knew, okay, down the count, he's going to come with a slider here, he's going to come with a fastball up, they still weren't picking up on it. It just was that good. He's got a little bit of deception in that delivery, but the difference is that usually when you see a left-hander that has some deception in their delivery, fastball comes out of their hands, and it's maybe 92 miles an hour. Giroux can pump it up a lot more than that. So this guy just looks different out there. I don't want to overreact to one start, but that first start was something else. And I have to say that, honestly, it was probably the best individual performance I've seen by an Orioles starter in a minor league game, maybe since Braxton Bragg last year. Some of the starts that he had with Aberdeen early on, or some of Trey Gibson's starts with Chesapeake last year that really jumped out. Giroux making a strong case early on that what we saw on Friday might go down as the best performance by individual performance by an Orioles minor league starter this season.
If you live in or around Frederick, get to a game as soon as possible because Joseph Giroux and potentially JT Quinn as well will not be there very long. So you want to go see this guy if you live around Frederick because, my goodness, I mean, we knew he had the extension, the deception just from his time at Michigan State, but if he's going to be sitting 95, 96 with his command, he's going to move extremely quick. And I'm so excited for our May 1st update because I still have no idea what my top 10 is going to be at all. You could just hit randomize, and I think I'd be like, yeah, that's acceptable. So it's going to be fun, the competition in that top 10. And Joseph Giroux has firmly planted a flag in that top 10 for me after one performance, obviously, plus spring training, plus what we knew about him coming in. But exciting times in Frederick all around, but especially the starting pitchers.
I'm gonna have a hard time controlling myself as well here. When talking about that start, just because we talked about Giroux and JT Quinn so much since the draft, even though they didn't pitch as a pro, but we talked about them a lot for good reason. I just don't think people appreciate how good JT Quinn's fastball is, and Giroux, as we've talked about many times, like this guy dominated at Michigan State for 3 straight years from his true freshman season on. Just elite walk numbers, the elite changeup. When he was drafted, there was a lot of talk like, there's like the low-hanging fruit stuff you can clean up. Get him in a pro strength program. Get him on a pro velo program. Get that velo. He was touching 95. Now he's sitting 94, 95. Like you're going to have a really, really good arm on your hand. And you see other teams take the first-round pitcher, and they come out of the gates in their early minor league starts, and they're just firing all cylinders. You even see the Mariners. Like Mariners, they draft Kate Anderson out of LSU, and you see a lot of Mariners. I've seen Mariners fans, a lot of discussion like, man, could this guy reach the major leagues this year? And you're like, I want the Orioles to do that. Why can't the Orioles draft a first-round pitcher and we have that guy? You've got that guy. I will say that. I'm going to say it right now. You've got that guy in Joseph Giroux. I strongly believe that. He just came in the second round, not the first round. It's just, when you got the spring breakout game was a good little tease, and then for him to do it here in this first game, and granted, I also don't know, like I can't tell you quality, Hub City's lineup, like how quality that was. I couldn't tell you. Don't know. Honestly, right now, I don't even know what affiliate, like which MLB team Hub City's affiliated with, to be honest. The feed was amazing. The stadium looked awesome.
Great broadcast, yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Hub City. I love everything about that franchise, to be completely honest. I know they're in South Carolina, but I know nothing else. So I can't tell you the quality of the lineup at face, but like Zach touched on, just the poise, the dominance of just like, he picked the spots. And that fastball up in the zone, truly unhittable. That look for lefties has got to be daunting. He had a couple like change-ups and sliders that they were just guessing. They were just putting the bat out there. They have no idea. They got fooled completely from the start, and it was a lot of fun to watch. And I think the broadcast, even mentioned that they talked to Hub City's coach before the game, and Hub City's coach was like, yeah, it's his first career start, so we're waiting for him to show the jitters, and then we're going to attack those jitters. He was in control from the first pitch. So changing eye levels, hitting his spots, getting him to chase, it was a masterclass. And yeah, I was trying to think too, like as far as just like an individual pitching prospect performance, not just the stat line, but the whole thing, the poise, the competitiveness, the aura, just the whole thing about the performance. Honestly, since we started the show, maybe I'm getting way too high,
especially
way too
professional debut. It's the best,
yeah,
no doubt.
I don't know if we've seen a better pro debut since we started the show.
Yeah, aura farming at its finest on the mound for Frederick. Yeah, I mean, gosh, yeah, I could just go on and on about it. It's beautiful to see, and then to follow it up with JT Quinn, just whipping 98 miles per hour past guys with God, those two arms are going to be really fun this year.
Yeah, Quinn was
great on Saturday. It's a shame we didn't see Boston Bateman on Sunday because
I know
a trifecta there, but.
Yeah, one more thing I would add about Giroux was just from watching that start, I felt like he was getting better as the game went along. Even when he was pulled after 6 innings, there were no signs of wear. There were no signs of fatigue. It's early in the year. You don't want to waste too much energy up front, but he could have gone out there for the 7th. I think. He was not slowing down at all.
And back to the broadcast, they were raving about his start even the next day. Like, they could not stop talking about it. I'd never seen anything like that. That was really cool.
We'll go in now to our last segment of the night. Last call brought to you by Checker Spot Brewing, located at 1421 Ridgely Street. Checker Spot is not far from Camden Yards, making it the perfect place for a pre- or post-game drink. And, of course, you can go there at any time to watch the Orioles. Great place to watch with a lot of TVs, good food, good beer. Be sure to check it out in South Baltimore. Now, this is our normal last call segment where we shout out players outside the top 30 portion of our top 50 list for something they've done recently, whether it's been a good game, a good week, or just something interesting in their stat line. We want to point out, I do want to acknowledge, though, that the Orioles recently released T.T. Bowens. So his reign in this segment, after a lot of fun over the last 5 seasons talking about him, is coming to an end.
Yeah, shout out to
we might
TT
have to
Bowens.
rename it. We might have to name it the T.T. Bowens Last Call Award or something like that.
It's time for another player to take it over, and I want to go to Nick to start with this one because his pitcher really had an impressive season debut.
Yeah, maybe it might be one of these two guys. Maybe my hitter that takes the throne for T.T. Bowens. Hopefully not. Hopefully there's more in the tank there. But my pitcher, I want to go Trace Bright. Like there's been a lot of optimism since he was a 5th-round draft pick back in 2022 out of Auburn. And when you strike out 147 guys and less than 100 innings in your pro debut and you reach Double-A, there's going to be excitement and some hype there. But the last 2 years, which have also been in Double-A, I think the broadcast was like, it's his second year in Double-A. I'm like, this is like a part of the 4th season in Double-A. The man has a house in Bowie, Maryland. But it was really good outing. And again, freezing cold temps, windy, opening nights, and Trace Bright was fantastic against Hartford. It was, 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits allowed, 1 earned run. He did walk 4 guys, not great, but he struck out 9. He sat 94, 95 early on. Was still hitting 94 into the 6th inning. I think the broadcast mentioned that they talked to Roberto Mercado, and Mercado had said they're expecting a lot from Trace Bright this year, and Mercado was raving about the newly found velo for Trace Bright. So I'm interested to see how this goes. I think he really backed off and threw very few fastballs those last couple of innings. But I feel like the command of the secondary has improved as the outing went on, even in that cold weather. It's just like, you kind of assume, we talked at the end of last year, we brought this up a couple of times, I think, since the end of last year. If you look at his 2025 season, first half as a starter wasn't great. Second half as a reliever was actually pretty solid. And I thought maybe even if they put him back into Double-A to start this year, it's to continue to get comfortable working out of the bullpen. We're making that switch this year, as we've seen them make with a couple of other guys. But he starts opening day, and I don't know, Chesapeake has Blake Money, which was a little upsetting. He starts the year on the IL. Jerron Watts-Brown, Michael Calden, Zach Fruit, Braxton Bragg, Patrick Riley, obviously. A couple of other guys, Juan Nunez, I think, is on the 60-day. They've got a laundry list of pitchers starting the year on the IL. So I don't know if it was, hey, we need you to step up while these guys are out, and we're going to get you to start right now, or I don't know. Based on what the broadcast was saying about their conversation with Roberto Mercado, maybe this was the plan all along, that maybe they think there is a little bit more here with Trace Bright after some off-season work, and he's going to continue to start for Chesapeake. So we'll see if this holds up. We'll see once the weather warms up, how batters adjust to him and how he continues to adjust. But promising first start for Trace Bright there. And I'll quickly shout out my hitter, Anderson De Los Santos. Again, somehow he's the one I was mentioning earlier. Somehow he's still only 22 years old and just turned 22 in January, which is mind-boggling. But he walked and then was hit in the elbow or upper arm. I think it was the elbow area on opening night. Was removed from the game, but came back for the final 2 games of the series. Went 1 for 3 with a double and a walk in each of those games. So if you look back last year, I think he played third base in at least one of the games, if not 2. But very, very quietly, last year in 103 high A games, he had a 121 WRC plus a near 10% drop in his strikeout rate that got down below 22%. He had a 14% walk rate and was 19 for 24 in stolen base attempts. And we know he hits the ball pretty hard. He improved the contact rate by 8 points, had a career low 11.5% swinging strike rate in high A. Strong start, 3 games, pretty good start to the year in Double A so far. I don't know. I think maybe keep an eye on Anderson De Los Santos down in the hot corner in Chesapeake this year.
Love these 2 picks because it's a great sign that, hey, just because these guys were once promising, had a few bumps in the road, doesn't mean development stops. It's not linear, especially for most players. I feel like it's not linear. Anderson De Los Santos looks like he actually slimmed down a tiny bit compared to last year. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, if he can play third and first base, hit the ball hard, his future is not foretold yet. And Trace Bright, even if it is just like, hey, we need you, our entire starting rotation other than Luis De Leon is on the IL. Hey, you take that opportunity, you run with it, and I'm sure he is long-term going to be destined for the bullpen, and that's fine. But, hey, he went out there, showed what he had, showed that he can still develop as well. That velocity is nice, and him and Ryan Long both just coming in and showing why we've been talking about how good their stuff is. Even if the results haven't been there for the past couple of years, these guys can still be some pretty interesting relief arms, potentially at the major league level. So, good picks. And I will go to my picks now. A couple of low-A guys. I want to start with DJ Layton, who I think had a start at shortstop and a start at center field. So seems like he's going to be playing up the middle. Braylon Whitaker, also in center field, looked really smooth defensively, at least. Reminded me of like Devonta Williams out there. Fast guy. But DJ Layton, it was an interesting, disappointing 2025 season for him with the injuries, and when he was in there, he didn't exactly light the world on fire. But this weekend, I think he only played in 2 of the games that they played, but he went 3 for 6 with a double and a triple. He also walked 3 times, only struck out 1 time. And, yeah, he looked good on defense. He's obviously fast as well. A high school player who, I didn't look it up, he's either 19 or 20 since he was a high school draftee. But just nice to see him start full season ball, skipping the FCL this time around, and getting in there and having some early success. I'm very interested to see how he develops this year. And my pitcher is going to be Brian Arancia, who followed Esteban Mejia and made his professional debut, and I thought held his own pretty decently compared to Baseball America's top 100 prospect Mejia. I think his fastball was like 95, 96. His splitter looked really good. Slider was hard to get a great read on the quality, but between the splitter and the fastball, I thought he looked fantastic, and maybe an adrenaline dump in his 4th inning of work where he kind of got hit a little bit. But I was impressed with the JUCO arm and could definitely see some starting pitcher potential out of him.
Those are good picks there, and I was pleased to see Layton get to start in Delmarva. I know we were kind of hoping for bigger things from him last year than we got, but hopefully that's a vote of confidence that the organization still thinks he's on the right path. I'll start off with my hitter, and as we've touched on a few times in recent episodes, Norfolk's lineup leaves a lot to be desired right now. But one guy that could kind of help stabilize things a little bit is Jonathan Rodriguez. The Orioles picked Rodriguez up right at the beginning of the season from the Guardians as part of a trade for reliever Carter Rustad after Rodriguez had been DFA'd by Cleveland at the end of spring training. The former third-round pick is in the Tide's outfield, and in the midst of what was otherwise a pretty bad series for Norfolk at Memphis, he put together a nice performance at the plate, going 6 for 16, and on Saturday went 2 for 3 with a double. And then my pitcher is going to be Ben Vespi, the brother of former Orioles pitcher Nick Vespi. Vespi came in behind Joseph Giroux in Friday's game for Frederick and put together 2 scoreless innings with 2 strikeouts and a walk. So a good start to the season for Vespi, who the Orioles got as an undrafted free agent back in 2024, and he had a solid debut season in 2025 at 3 levels. So he looks like he could be a good bullpen arm in Frederick this year.
Yeah, I like to go back to DJ Layton real quick. when you watch Delmarva, and you could tell like the guys who like this could be something here, this looks interesting, versus the guys who are like, I just don't see anything there. When you're watching them on a nightly basis or near nightly basis, like you can pretty quickly pick those guys up. DJ Layton looked fantastic. I thought that guy looks. We only saw him in the spring breakout game last year, so really I wasn't down in Sarasota to see him, but he just looks bigger, stronger, and just looked great at the plate. And yeah, good to see him get that start at shortstop and in center field. This Rodriguez for Carter Rustad trade is actually kind of interesting, I think. I've always liked Carter Rustad. I've always thought he was a pretty intriguing arm, had really good numbers last year, but he was like, I want to say even a sixth-year senior sign out of Missouri. So older arm who got up to Double-A last year. You traded a Double-A kind of low-leverage arm for a guy who has MLB experience and an outfielder with MLB experience. He's got a minor league option as well, and given the state of everything right now, especially Reed Trimble in the IL, I think bringing in Rodriguez, who has a lot of swing and miss, but also a ton of power as well. I think this was a solid kind of under the radar depth type of trade there. But yeah, he had a really great week. And Vespi, yeah, we have more Vespi hair in the organization, so can't complain about that.
And with that does it for this week. So we're going to be back later on this week to grade bold listener predictions. So you're going to be sure to check that out. In the meantime, you can check our many social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. We're also at Blue Sky, and we're at Substack, OriolesOnTheVerge.substack.com. And while you're browsing around the internet, be sure to head over to Patreon.com and sign up to become a member today at the $3, $5, or $10 level. You'll get access to bonus weekly shows from Bob, Nick, and myself, as well as monthly updates to our top 50 list, access to patron-exclusive channels within our Discord community, and a whole lot more. For Bob Phelan and Nick Stevens, this is Zach Spedden. You've been listening to Orioles on the Verge, part of the Believe Podcast Network.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.